Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 9 years, we've been asking the Frenchpreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Jason Leverant, the president and COO of the Atwork Group franchise opportunity. And Atwork is considered one of the best staffing agencies for franchise nationwide. We're going to talk to Jason about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 9 years now, we've been asking the Frenchpreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Jason Leverant, the president and COO of the Atwork Group franchise opportunity. And Atwork is considered one of the best staffing agencies for franchises nationwide. Hi, Jason. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marty. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Jason. We always like to ask where you're calling from this morning, Jason.
So we are in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee. Had a neat little snowstorm, but nothing like what the rest of the East Coast is experiencing right now. But we're here in Knoxville. So.
Yeah, it's coming our way, Jason. I think like 6 or 7 hours we're going to be hit with it. But my son's really excited because he gets to go sleigh riding for the first time. It's the first snowfall for this year, so it's a bit exciting.
Oh, well, this is a good one then for him.
Absolutely. So for kids, it's a good one, right? It's
yeah.
It's you have an interesting. We started this show 9 years ago, Jason, because we found that businesses and franchises just like yourself always has a really cool story to tell. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the history of Atwork.
You're right on. Atwork has a really great history, an interesting history where we started. I joined the company in 2007, and I've again picked up a lot of historical items along the way, and I've got my own cache of neat history items. Eventually, we'll have a museum dedicated to all the fun stuff. But we were founded in 1986. We weren't franchising at that point, but I'll get to today. So in '86, the founder partnered with a gentleman who does permanent placement, which is kind of headhunting work, if you're familiar with that concept, and started doing temporary staffing. Started as a company called Upgrade Temporary Staffing. For a few years, we opened branches under the name of Upgrade, and eventually the owner decided to part ways with his partner and rebranded to Atwork. Right. And in 1992, John Hall, who is the founder, he took his 11 Atwork offices and decided, now it's time for me to become a franchisor. He always had an interest. They actually considered franchising back when they were starting as Upgrade. He looked at the franchise agreements and realized that they were all written at that point in time, especially in staffing, they were extremely one-sided. In every scenario, the franchisor made the most amount of money. The franchisor always won, and it felt like you were working for the franchised organization. Right. So he had that in his mind that he said, you know what, I have an opportunity or see an opportunity to come in and really disrupt franchising in the staffing space with a little bit different model. So in 1992, he took his 11 company-owned stores and effectively went to each of the branch managers and he didn't give it to him. He sold it to him for $1. He gave each owner the office that or manager the office they ran for $1. And interestingly enough, we have our very first office that was an Upgrade office in '86 in Decatur, Alabama. Is still with us today as an Atwork franchise. She's a franchise owner and has had really phenomenal success over the years. And we've got a number of owners that maintain those legacy offices, those original 11 offices. So, in '92, we actually, that's when that happened. Those owners took on ownership, and we became a franchisor and began franchising the model. So it's been just an exciting ride since then, '86 to 2016, 30 years in the staffing and recruiting industry. And really, these past few years, for our industry as a whole, it's been just amazing, the level of growth, really the impact of our industry on the U.S. economy, and inherently, obviously, the benefits to our franchise owners. So really, really awesome time. So, but in the history, obviously, we still have a lot of good stories to tell about the franchise, and I can go on all day about the history, but truly appreciate, again, allowing to share a little bit about it. No, absolutely. How many locations are you guys up to today, Jason? And how many would you say, temporary employees that you have working with you today? Okay, so we actually, and I like to get our counts. We have I haven't got the final count yet, but we've put approximately 50,000 people to work in 2015. That's a pretty big number, isn't it? It's a huge number, and it's really awesome to be able to make an impact in people's lives at such a great extent. I mean, because in what we do, we're helping our employees find fulfilling employment. We're helping them put food on the table for their families, So it's such a great opportunity to make an impact in the different communities. We've got 93 bricks and mortar branch locations, and as of the last 2-3 years, we've started to really increase our level of franchisees coming through the doors and opening up multiple units. We've always been a one owner, one branch model for many years, and we're really trying to shift that and seeing an opportunity for people buying multiple territories. And a lot has to do with, really the industry that we're in right now and really where that industry is going. Again, it's just an exciting time to be in the staffing and franchising world. So, what are some of the trends currently taking place in your industry, Jason? Well, really we see a shift towards, obviously everybody is moving towards mobile technology to try to really capitalize and leverage that component in their businesses. And really the same is true for our industry. When we look at our workforce, our temporary associates, our contingent workforce that's out in the field, 80+% of them are carrying smartphones. So how do we take advantage of that technology to really impact, to engage that workforce, to really bring that that population, or take advantage of that population to the greatest amount possible? And how do we do that to our benefit? So really looking at ways to leverage that technology when it comes to employee engagement, when it comes to retention of employees. From our space, it means pushing open job opportunities to our customers directly through push messages or notification services.
Right.
Some services provide location tracking for their workforce, sales teams that need location tracking services and things of that sort. There's so many different avenues that you can take with technology that's available. But obviously with that, becomes an increased speed or response time when it comes to our customers that are looking for open job orders, when it comes to our employees who are looking for employment. Everybody's very much in an on-demand mentality in this economy. Right. So it's really exciting to see our industry really change and adapt and morph around that. So we see that really playing a part. Coupled with that, obviously, you see a very interesting legislative climate right now with a lot of the changes that we see going on in the federal landscape, and then kind of trickling down with some of those changes happening at a state level. Independent communities making changes on laws and employment laws affecting co-employment, affecting the franchising industries in our industry and staffing. So it's really important from a trending perspective that we stay ahead of the curve there as well too. Obviously that's a big push, but what's exciting is, again, our industry is growing by leaps and bounds. Our really involvement in the U.S. economy, if you look at the total non-farm payroll, temporary staffing has always held at about 1% of the total U.S. workforce. So one out of every 100 employees is a temporary worker. That's at 2% now, and that shift has only come in a few, 3 or 4 years. We've doubled our real penetration in the U.S. workforce. And it's a great opportunity. People see this the staffing industry as a great way to leverage their workforce and really get the most efficiency and really balance that with their P&Ls and their bottom lines as well.
That's great. If you're at a franchise show, Jason, and someone came up to your booth and they said, the typical question is always, so what do you guys do? And obviously, you're a staffing company, but how do you kind of differentiate yourself from maybe someone else out there that might be doing something similar to what you guys are doing?
Well, when we look at differentiating, obviously we look at a number of different factors, and obviously one of the biggest in the staffing world as a whole is really, and this may be going too far into the deep end, and stop me if I am, but how we structure our franchise model with our franchise owners. As I mentioned before, in regards to our history and John's story around building a model that is more franchise, I guess you'd say franchisee friendly. It's more advantageous for the franchisees, and really at the end of the day, our mentality is and thought is that our franchisees should always be in a position that they're netting a more positive result than us as a franchise. They make more than us, really. That's the goal, and that's how we've designed our franchise from a very cost-aware model. We really watch our overhead. We maintain our costs dramatically to be able to offer the best value in franchising. So my thing is, though, we don't sell on price. It's not all about price. We just happen to have the best price in staffing. Sure. We couple it with that level of service as a franchisor offering to a franchisee. So when we look at the different service offerings and what we do as a franchisor, and the things that we offer to our franchisees are truly best in class. And in this instance, we survey, we constantly monitor ourselves to determine are we offering that high level of service and support to our franchise owners. And for 4 years running, we're FBR 50, based on our franchisee satisfaction. Our customers and clients in the field, we're winning awards from the standpoint of they do an annual Best of Staffing award competition based on level of satisfaction. It goes back, and I hadn't mentioned it yet, but our mission statement in our company is to be at work for you. We like that expression so much we actually trademarked it. We use it in our signage in the branch locations and such. The really focus is to be at work for you, our franchisees, and then in the field, that trickle-down effect to our customers and to our temporary associates as well. And we really live by that we put ourselves in their shoes, if you will. We make decisions that are really positive from the standpoint of service, positive from the standpoint of their organization, and then dropping down to the level of the client and the temporary associate as well. That really couples well with our kind of core values that we couple on to the Atwork for You mission statement: to lead, empower, and excel in the workforce, in the workplace. We lead the industry from the standpoint of our operational compliance. We really excel. I referenced some of the awards that we've offered as a servicer. As a franchise, we're offering a service to our franchisees. We're best in class there, and really empowering our owners from a local level. The way our model runs, each of our local franchisors operates their own independent business. So they have an LLC. They have a corporate entity that they actually manage and run versus buckling into a mothership that runs all the temporary associates. Each of our franchisees has their own, they're more empowered than any other staffing franchise that's really out there. So
that's great. You're talking about the franchisees, Jason. What types of characteristics do you look for in your franchisees, and what were some of them doing in their previous lives or their previous occupations before they became a franchisee?
Oh yeah, great question. So we have a wide variety of franchise owners, but we typically look for folks that are very open, outgoing, sales minded, if you will. You don't have to have direct sales experience, but it's all about having that great personality, that approachable personality, and really being able to relate to people. In the staffing industry, it's a people business. So you're really building relationships across the board, and that's what it's all about. So people that have really strong characteristics around building relationships and maintaining those relationships, it really provides them a great leg up when it comes to building those client relationships and recruiting. A lot of people don't look at recruiting candidates as a sell, so to speak, but it really is, especially in the economic climate when you have unemployment rates that are dipping down to where we're seeing them go today. The recruiting aspect becomes just as much of a sell as the actual B2B customer and client development activities that are out there. So we're looking for people that have that kind of personality, but we're also looking for people that want to go out and really put their shoes on every morning and go to work. Opening a business is not easy. So if somebody, give me somebody with the desire and drive, and that's somebody who's going to really succeed and win in their marketplace. And so looking for people who are really driven to succeed, who really want to go into their market and make a splash and become the primary staffing provider in their local marketplace.
We'll say that.
So looking at,
go ahead.
Yep.
I was going to say,
to that point, some of our owners come from a variety of backgrounds. We've got salespeople, we've got people from the staffing industry, which is great to have if they have experience like that. But we really are looking for people with all backgrounds. So.
That's great. And that's so important. And we always say that, franchising, one of the themes on our show, Jason, is that, franchising is a means to an end. The franchising provides, certain types of opportunities. How would you describe, like, a typical day for someone who's listening to our show and they say, this is a great industry, something that, I would certainly consider looking into. How would you paint the picture of a typical day or a typical week for a franchisee, if there is such a thing?
Oh, great question. I illustrate it this way. Staffing is like a game of a tug of war in a good way. You've got your sales and client development activities on one side of the rope, and you've got your recruiting and talent pool development on the other side of the rope. And there's a constant pull both sides back and forth, depending on really the economic conditions locally, depending on the customer base that you're able to develop locally. So with that being said, from the standpoint of a 5,000-foot view over a staffing branch, you have people that are actively handling client development. You've got staff that are actively handling candidate and talent pool development, recruiting aspects and activities. As a franchise owner, we look at, you were that person in that 5,000-foot view, and you're lending your time and efforts and energy and resources, obviously on both sides, but you're going to lean to one side or to the other to really offer the additional support required. Again, going back to the game of tug of war, if one side's winning, well, the owner's going to lean on the other side and help balance the game a little bit further. So that's the great thing about staffing. It's really it gives you an opportunity to meet a lot of new people, learn very much about your local economy, learn quite a bit about your local industry, really network heavily because it has a lot of B2B and networking activities that are involved in the experience. So it's sales and recruiting is what it comes down to at its at its core and what its primary. But it is a very hands-on franchise opportunity. We want owners who are actively involved in the franchise, who aren't afraid to, again, get out in the field, knock on doors, talk with customers, and at the same point, jump in front of a candidate and interview them, and knowing how to do both at a very high level. So,
And staffing is still typically would you say like a Monday through Friday type of franchise, Jason? Like a standard like business week.
Great point. Yes, and that's something that we see a lot of people who are burnt out on 100-hour-a-week corporate positions that are looking for an opportunity for a better work-life balance. And we've got a number of owners who joined us and actually through the validation process speak to that, and the fact that staffing does offer a lot better work-life balance than many other industries because our office hours, our mandated hours per our operating standards, our brand standards are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And it really lines up with the clientele that we are, recruiting and catering to and recruiting for, your HR managers, your plant managers, and things of that sort. Now, we do staff 24/7, and many of our branches have after-hours on-call lines. They are accessible, but for the most part, your in-office required time is during the first shift, Monday through Friday. And that gives you, again, it gives you that opportunity to have a lot nicer work-life balance than really many other opportunities. So it's a great positive for many that join the industry.
And that's what I got in studying, at work, is getting back to, providing a means to an end, is there's a lot of people that are looking to get into franchising for those reasons that you provide, Jason, is, to get back to a normal life, you know what I mean, of having like a Monday through Friday where you can get home or you can see your child's ball game or play or even, having the weekends available again, it provides that opportunity to your franchisees, doesn't it?
Oh, it's tremendous, and you're able to, when you're looking at the impact that you're making while you're doing the job as well. Obviously we make money what we're doing. There's profit involved, so we're not a nonprofit organization, but we are making a positive impact from the standpoint of helping people find employment, and it's such a good feeling to make that placement to help somebody out who's maybe struggling to find a job that needs to support their family or themselves. This is a great opportunity to really do that, to bring that assistance and help to them as a provider. Again, it's that impact is really what many other people. When you look at the work-life balance, when you look at the positives that come along with it, some do approach us really looking at that kind of social responsibility, the social impact they're making by making a difference in helping people find jobs.
Can your franchisees? How does it work, Jason? I mean, do they have their own home office, or do they have to officially set up a shop at a particular location? How does that work?
Great question. Our Atwork model is primarily driven by a bricks and mortar branch location. Whether that be in a retail style establishment, which is optimal for the most amount of foot traffic. We do accept office suite style locations. The incubator style locations, while not preferable, are acceptable as well. We do offer one model that is an at-home based, which would be our headhunting or search group model. Most people end up, though, approaching and starting with a temporary business, the Atwork Personnel Services, which is the most broad in scope. And then they add full desk recruiters that would handle the search component and the permanent placement from that bricks and mortar branch location. And that's just a natural segue, a natural growth pattern. Another interesting thing about Atwork is we do offer really 4 unique programs under our one franchise. So you can buy a franchise, you buy it one time, and you have access to 4 different developed programs. So
that's great. Once you decide that, you like them, Jason, and they like you, and they want to, come aboard, how does the training work? Do they typically come to Tennessee for training? How does that all set up?
They do, and actually, as a matter of fact, this week despite the weather, we have a training going on here at our corporate office right now. So we do a week-long training here at our corporate office. We have a dedicated training manager that works with them through the process. We're very picky, I guess you'd say, in regards to who we bring on in our corporate team. We want to make sure, while most organizations target people with extensive franchising experience, we look for the blend. I'm targeting people that have applicable real-world staffing experience for our industry, and that's really our goal. So you have a trainer that knows the industry inside and out, who's actively involved on the national level with our national trade associations and education committees and things of that sort. But yes, so going back to the question, it is here training for a week at our corporate office. We go through front to back from the standpoint of owning the office, planning your openings, your sales and development processes, your recruiting processes, how to handle our internal software systems, going back to that component on technology and how it plays a role in our business. Our full front office and back office software component that's built into the franchise, kind of baked into it, is really critical for the franchise to operate smoothly. So knowing how to utilize that software system, it's a full ATS and CRM kind of bundled together. So it is relatively complex. So it's a full training component here. And then once they go back out into the wild, and the intention is that when they come into training, the Monday after training, lights on in the office, and the office is now open. So there's not any kind of downtime between training while that information is fresh in their mind.
Right,
they hit the ground running. Typically, shortly thereafter, we let them start building some initial qualification, calls and recruiting activities, and then one of our ops team members that's primarily focused on sales and recruiting will come out to the office and actually spend 3 to 5 days in the office working with the owner to offer that follow-up to make sure that the things that were really trained initially are being instituted and actively handled in the office. My thought is the more we're out there, the more touches that those owners have from our ops and support team, the more effective they're going to be in the marketplace. So a more trained individual is just going to outperform somebody who doesn't receive any training at all. So training is really critical, especially in a service-based industry like this. We're not really selling a widget that has a certain spec. It's all about building those skills from repetition and having subject matter experts like our ops team to really bring that to them.
That's fantastic. The majority of our listeners, Jason, we call them aspiring entrepreneurs. I mean, most of them, they know they want to get into franchising, but we've learned, over the 9 years of doing the show that, a lot of them simply don't know where to begin. And you deal a lot with franchisees. What advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
Well, obviously, depending on where they're at in the selection process, I guess that advice would change. One of the immediate things that really come to mind is if you're in the process of selecting a franchise, assuming that you already know the industry that you want to go into.
Right.
I think, for us, I always, in the staffing world, and when we're talking about candidate selection, we talk about the references. If you don't check references, you're basically taking anything that candidate says at face value. So if somebody came to your staffing office and said they were an astronaut, if you don't check that reference, you're assuming that they were an astronaut unless proven otherwise. So at the same point, in franchising, if you've selected a franchise, make those validation calls. Go to the Exhibit G, pull the franchise owners up, and talk with them. Ask them the tough questions. They may or may not answer. It may be hard to get a hold of them, but check the references. I mean, that's where you're going to get the real story. As a franchise you're only, or a franchisee or a prospective franchisee, an aspiring entrepreneur, you're only going to hear the good from the franchisor.
Sure,
usually. Right. So you're going to want to kind of check behind the curtain, if you will, or under the cover. So, validation is critical. When you're validating, you can ask the franchise, who are the top performers, who are the low performers. Right. Get the franchisor's opinion on why they may be a lower performer or why they're a top performer. Get that information. That's one kind of thought that immediately came to mind. Checking references is critical. And, we've seen prospects come in who don't only speak with a couple owners, and we really try to encourage them. I'm very confident in our franchisee validation. I know where it's at. I know who are the owners and what they'll say for the most part. Right. And I feel confident suggesting, go validate. We need you to validate because I want you to be comfortable when you're buying this franchise and know what you're going to get.
Absolutely. So, as the president and COO, I can ask you the next question. I mean, where do you see Atwork maybe like 3 to 5 years down the road, Jason?
Well, at our last franchise conference, I looking at just the numbers, looking at the cold hard numbers, I would love to see us at 200 units and $1 billion in annual revenues by 2020. Now that's an aggressive goal. Now we just came off a year though, from 2014 to 2015, where we put on almost 40 bricks and mortar locations, and we grew revenue by 63%. So we are. If we ran that rate, we'd actually beat my projections.
Hit it.
We have to. Our average growth has to run about 25% across the board for us to hit our target. And I think, looking at where the industry is going, where it's been, and it's definitely an attainable goal. So obviously our plans are growth, but with that growth, obviously a focus on the quality of service that we provide to our franchise owners from the standpoint of training, the quality of service that our branches are providing to their end customers and employees. So it's looking at what we do every day, making sure that it's as good or better than what we've done in the past. So, over the last 3-4 years, we've literally improved everything that we do from the standpoint of software, from the emails, website presence, really resources, marketing tools, everything. We've went through it, and we're going through it again, and going through it again. Because as we grow, we need to offer those greater and more valuable tools and opportunities for these offices to be even more successful. Because if we do that, everybody wins. And so that's our continued focus, is to look at what we're doing every day and get better. And we've done so far, and then the results have been phenomenal. So we're looking forward to, as we continue to grow, as we continue to build and develop the franchise system, that our brand becomes commonplace. We want to become a household name. We've got a really phenomenal intellectual property in the name Atwork. It's got so much positive connotation in our space.
Which is why you guys had all those awards. I see you guys have hit like the Entrepreneur Magazine's Franchise 500, and that was also the Inaugural Best of Staffing Award. And I was familiar with your franchise, a while back. Being involved in franchising, I've always seen your name referenced. You know what I mean? So I said it's certainly time to have you on the show. So I think you have a great franchise opportunity. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming a franchisee, Jason? Should they go directly to the website? What's the best place to go to?
Yeah, perfect. A number of different places. We've got a couple real easy domain to remember is atwork.com, ATWORK.com. There's a link at the top for franchising. That'll direct you to our dedicated franchise page. But if you want to get your pen and paper out, atworkfranchise.com actually is our homepage for franchising. Okay. It gives you a lot of great information about Atwork, about our history, a lot of the things that I discussed in a lot more detail, and a lot of that information that's critical when making that decision on what kind of franchise you'd like to partner with. Again, too, if when you post this podcast, if you want to post my personal information, I talk with folks all day long that are interested in the industry. So don't hesitate to reach out to me directly as well, too, and then I'll get you in touch with our franchise sales guy. So
that's great. I want to thank you again, Jason, for coming on the show. I think you have a great franchise opportunity over there, and I'd already like to invite you back next year as you continue to grow. I think this is fantastic.
Excellent, Marty. I look forward to it, and again, truly appreciate the opportunity to chat.
It's my pleasure, Jason. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Today's great quote in franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting franchise interviews now almost years, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Today, you're going to get to hear from Carol Mercurio, and she talks about a subject that we talk frequently on the show, which is following the franchise system. She gives a lot of great other advice in addition to aspiring entrepreneurs, but I just thought her advice was fantastic. So here we go with Carol Mercurio, franchise consultant.
It is, because success means different things to different people.
Right.
You know, there are people that can be very happy making $40,000, $50,000 a year, and there's others that would just never tolerate that. So you have to pick the right opportunity. It's going to meet not just your personal goals, but your income potential as well.
You have to like what you're doing, and most of the time that'll turn into making more money. So.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, the truth is that franchising really isn't for everyone. You know, it's, Michael Gerber, you know, one of your guests who is one of my heroes, so to speak.
Right.
I love his book. I recommend his book all the time.
Yeah.
And as he says, you know, there's a difference between an entrepreneur and what he calls a technician.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, and we'll go into that if you want to move forward in
Sure, absolutely. We'll go to the next slide, and that's slide 4, Carol says. That's all great, but
do you have what it takes? And that's really what this presentation will help people do. When I do this presentation live, it takes about 2 hours, and, you know, there are people at the end of the presentation will run to the front door and can't get out fast enough. They're scared to death. Or you have those folks that just linger on because they really want to learn more and educate themselves to see if this is the right fit for them. But there's a lot to figure out, you know, before you actually can pull the trigger and make that decision. And as you mentioned just previously, the due diligence is imperative. You know, you have to do a good job of figuring that out. You know, is it the right connection personally, and are you connecting with a company that you feel is a comfortable marriage between the two of you?
Absolutely. Right.
And so that's what we're going to do, is help determine if this is, in fact, the right path to explore. And then we can move on to motivation.
Okay.
And, you know, for me, I think motivation is really, really a major component of this whole process.
I agree.
If you're not motivated to do this, don't do it. If somebody tells you you should do it for a variety of different reasons, but it's not your own passion,
right,
you probably won't do well at it. And, you know, there's two different types of motivation. There's positive motivation and there's negative motivation. So you have to think of it, is it an inspiration? Are you inspired to do this, or are you desperate to do this? There's a big difference here.
Absolutely.
Are you know, running from something, or you're running towards something?
Right, right.
And,
you
know, for me,
quickly,
I work
Carol.
with a lot of folks that have been downsized, and they're in transition in life, and I certainly can relate to it. But they may go to looking at a business because they can't find a job. Or maybe lesser positions are offered to them, less money, less title, or maybe their severance is about to end and they need to make some decision quickly. Bad choice.
Right.
It's not a good reason to buy a business. It's
like a last resort type of decision. So you can quickly determine part of your services is finding out that motivation level pretty early on.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I won't move forward in our consultation until that candidate can tell me what their reason is.
Right.
And it's not just because, you know, I want control over my destiny. Who doesn't? You know, everybody does.
That's true.
They want to make more money. Who wouldn't?
Right, absolutely.
You know, it has to go layers deeper than that, or as I look at it, you know, having a burning desire. Or I'll add to that a little pain. You know, if you can't relate to the pain, then there's no reward at the end.
Absolutely.
And going into business for yourself can be painful. You know, with franchising, of course, it's a little bit easier because you have all the support. But it's still, you're starting a business from scratch.
That's
and you
what
have
Marty
to
and I
really
always
want
talk
it.
about. Right.
I'm sorry?
Right. We always talk about that, that there's no guarantee of success, but if you follow the system, work hard, look at the stats we just went over. I mean, the failure rate's so low. And then with getting the right
match,
consultation from someone like yourself, and, you know, you should be okay.
Well, and it's true. And, the systems that are in place with franchising are the major reasons why people gravitate to franchising. But if you're not the personality to follow a system, and you're more of that entrepreneur, as Michael Gerber would say,
right.
The best way to describe it is you can't paint the golden arches green.
Right.
It just won't work.
Absolutely.
Either you follow the system and you'll be successful or not. But most importantly, there has to be a motivation. And everyone's motivation is different. The way I help people see things is if you look down the road, say, the next 3-5 years from today, how do you see your life being different, if at all?
Right.
What do you want to accomplish? And for some people, it might be doing things that they've just missed doing, like having the freedom to play golf, or having the money to buy a boat and taking their family on it and being with their family and having that quality time that they just don't have in their current world.
That's interesting. So you consider that positive motivation because that's the whole big picture of success in business, working hard, and then having all that personal stuff on the side.
Oh, yeah. What's the end result look like? What is it that you want to accomplish by being in business for yourself? What is your burning desire? Where is the pain now? If you look at your current situation today, I'll have people that I'm working with that are making, well over six-figure incomes, and they...
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.